Are you going to the high priest about your problems? Yeah, I said the high priest. I'm talking about the great high priest, Jesus Christ. Did you know that the Bible calls him our great high priest? If you don't understand Jesus' role as your high priest, then you can't really know the importance of his sacrifice for you. So to understand that Jesus is now our high priest and what this means for you and I today, you gotta first have a little understanding of the priesthood from the Old Testament, the one that started with Moses and the Israelites with all the sacrifices and offerings and all that. There were many priests, all from the tribe of Levi. And that's why you might have heard that this priesthood was called the Levitical priesthood. And they did the work in the temple and the tabernacle. They did the animal sacrifices, bleeding out the animals and all that. But there was only one high priest. In the tabernacle, the place where God literally dwelt among the Israelites, it looked like a giant tent, and it was basically a portable temple. There was an outer court, an inner court, and then the most sacred place of all, the Holy of Holies. And the priest could work in the holy place, but only one could go behind the veil where God's presence was in the Holy of Holies. That's the high priest. He went behind the veil into this Holy of Holy place only once a year to give a blood offering for the sins of all the Israelites. Then for a whole year, they were good and their sins were atoned for. Now, all these things happened in order to point to the coming of Christ. They're pictures and shadows of what was going to happen. Christ was going to come and atone for our sin. See, in the Old Testament with this high priest, he went into the Holy of Holies. This is where God literally lived, in this room. No one was allowed back there. If they went in there, they would die. But this high priest was allowed once a year to go in there and sacrifice an animal with blood to clear the sins of the people for a whole year. But Hebrews 10 says it well when it says that these yearly sacrifices really couldn't truly cleanse the people. Something better had to happen. So the book of Hebrews tells us that Christ appeared as a high priest of the good things that have come. And the greater, more perfect tabernacle now made with hands, that is not of this creation. He entered the most holy place once for all time, not by the blood of bulls and goats and calves, but by his own blood, having attained eternal redemption. So the Bible is telling us that since the regular high priest and this regular yearly sacrifice couldn't take away sin, Jesus was the true high priest that came and also went into the holy place, but he didn't offer an animal. Something greater had to be offered. He offered himself, perfect, sinless, no greater blood than this. And the Bible tells us that, therefore, since we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold fast to our confession. For we do not have a high priest who was unable to sympathize with our weaknesses. Therefore, let us approach the throne of grace with boldness, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. This is what the Bible means when it says that Jesus is our high priest. He went behind the veil. He offered himself. And now there's a true cleansing in our lives. And when he did this, it was a one-time sacrifice that was enough to atone for all sin forever. And when he offered himself, that veil that separated us from God was literally torn. And now we too can draw near to God. And what's more, the Bible now calls you a priest now, a royal priesthood. So we are now spiritual priests, and Jesus is our great high priest, all because of what he's done for us on the cross. So you can approach God here in this better covenant with confidence, knowing that Jesus' sacrifice was enough to atone for your sin and make you right with God. So guys, today, approach his throne and enter the Holy of Holies with boldness, thanking our great high priest, Jesus Christ.